A couple weeks ago, I built a PC, but not just any PC, it was a PC with 3 specific requirements. One, that it be ultra quiet, silent even, that it be very, very small and pretty, and third, unlike most PC builds, that it run a copy of Mac OS X. Weird. This Hackintosh build that I was able to complete a couple of weeks ago garnered a lot of attention online, at least for my channel, and a lot of questions have kind of stirred up. How does this $682 computer compare to the $1,300 Mac Mini, and what would have I done differently? What are the caveats? We're going to talk about all of that in this video, so let's get started. Question 1. Can I edit videos on it? It was kind of funny to me that this was the most popular question because this was never intended to be a video editing rig, but I've entertained the idea. I downloaded Final Cut Pro X, disabled background rendering, which by the way is what makes Final Cut Pro X so fast, faster than Adobe Premiere that is, and then I downloaded the Bruce X benchmark, which is well respected in the industry for being a relatively reliable benchmarking performance test for video editing. My Hackintosh Mini, with an average of 5 tests, was able to export the project, the test project, at 80 seconds per export. So 80 seconds, remember that. It's also important to remember that in the last video I mentioned that the fastest Mac Mini ever made is not the current offering from Apple, but it's actually the 2012 quad-core 2.3 GHz Mac Mini. So the 4-year-old Mac Mini that was top of the line is faster than the newest top of the line Mac Mini because that one was quad-core and the new one is dual-core. So the 4-year-old machine, the faster one, was able to export the benchmark in 223 seconds, more than 2.5 times slower than my $682 Hackintosh. Now, it kind of makes sense. You're a little bit sympathetic. It's a 4-year-old machine. Give it a break. All right, let's try the newest machine from Apple, the top of the line $1,300 2014 Mac Mini. It took 242 seconds to export the same project. 242. That's almost 3 times longer than my $682 Hack Mini. So yeah, you could say it's pretty darn good at video editing. In fact, my little $682 Hack Mini, despite using integrated graphics, beat most of Apple's entire lineup up until about 2013, 2014, and then machines with equally as powerful processors with the advantage of having a GPU bested my little computer. So that leads into the second question, which was very, very popular. Can I install a graphics card? Can I install a GPU for better gaming and editing performance? And the answer is no. Let me explain. Maybe it's not impossible to fit a graphics card in there, but there is not room for one officially. You'd have to Dremel out the back of the case. And then there is only 52 millimeters of clearance from the top of the motherboard to the top of the case. You also have your CPU cooler, which is at least 14 millimeters. So you're working with 30 some odd millimeters of space for what's likely a larger graphics card. Now you could go with a passive card that's passively cooled, that's nice and skinny, but I'm not sure you'd see many performance benefits. A better option would be to go with a slightly larger case from Streetcom. They make other aluminum cases that are really pretty. There's one that's slightly larger that fits the likes of the R9 Nano and then the GTX 970M, so smaller graphics cards. And then there's also room for a 250 watt power supply, so you can actually draw a little bit more power with those heavier cards, because I'm at about 70 watts peak usage with this computer, so I still have headroom. I have a 160 watt power supply, but I'm not sure that if you were running one of those cards at full speed, you'd be able to, pull that off. So just go with a bigger case, a slightly larger power supply. It'll be a much easier solution, and they still look great. The next question is, can it game? I'd like to ask you, can a zebra ride a bicycle? In all seriousness, this machine is not going to be able to play very many games at all because there is no GPU. I was able to play the likes of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes with very good performance, but a potato could play that game just fine. One good example of how it really, really struggles is playing Hitman Absolution, which is a 4-year-old title running at 1080p resolution on the very, very lowest settings. I was only getting 10 to 12 frames per second with extreme screen tearing. Now, one might be able to surmise that part of this has to do with OS X. For whatever reason, titles don't work as well on macOS as they do on Windows. When I had my Mac Pro, I could actually play video games decently okay booting into Windows, but if I used the Mac counterpart, it was horribly unstable. So Macs are not made for gaming. This computer's not a gaming machine. Just go with a gaming PC if you want to. Don't. You can't do it. Don't try it. Can it handle a 4K monitor? Yes, it can. 2 actually. Do iMessage and other Apple services work? Yes, they do, and they work really, really well. Hackintosh has struggled with this a little bit in the past, but finally, as of recently, it's very, very easy to do. I'm successfully able to send iMessages. I can use all of Apple's services like handoff and continuity with my phone. I can even have Find My Mac enabled and find this computer via iCloud, though Find My Mac and iCloud do seem to think that my computer is an iMac. And technically, we faked that it is because the iMac 5K is the only computer Apple has that has a Skylake processor. So that's the trickery and wizardry involved. All of this stuff, by the way, included in the video description below. If you have any questions, check that out. If you need any parts, check that out. Everything is listed there. It's far more extensive than I could ever be, blah, 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 blah. Next question. Is there an SSD? If so, where's it mounted? Yeah, I did not clarify this very well last time, and I apologize. There is support for a lot of different drives. There are 4 spots to mount SSDs. So you could have 4 SSDs in there, or you could have 1 SSD and then 1 mechanical hard drive. And this board and many other boards actually even support M2 drives. So you can have a combination of drives inside. Power usage is not a problem because they're very low. You will need to, however, purchase an additional cable for your Pico PSU that provides power to 3 additional SATA devices. They're like $2 cables, not a big deal. Links in the description. But that is something you need to know if you plan on powering more than 2 drives. But yes, there is room. By the way, that awesome Snazzy Labs vinyl skin is made possible by Slick Wraps, and they know you hate ads, so theirs is only going to be 10 seconds. They don't just make vinyl skins for your gadgets, they make skins with Justin Maller art. They make real wood skins. They make real wood skins with Justin Maller art. Go to slickwraps.com for more. Now that it's built, what would you have done differently? That's actually a great question. In the beginning, I would have said, I wished I had gone with an unlocked processor and a motherboard that could have been overclockable, because at complete max power usage, I was only able to hit 68 watts, and it's a 160 watt power supply. So there's plenty of headroom for overclocking or more powerful processors, but I don't regret my choice. I mean, I don't need the additional power, so it's not something that I would have done. If you're building this and you're maybe considering using it as a video editing rig, maybe you should go with an i7 that could be overclocked. There is headroom, but for me, I'm really, really happy with the build. Gotta be honest. Sorry to disappoint. Isn't Hackintoshing illegal? Technically, yes, but it's about as illegal as jaywalking on a county road. Technically, you are breaking the end-user license agreement that you sign with Apple when you buy their software, contrary to what a lot of people believe. When you purchase OS X or a Mac computer, you do not own the software. It's not yours. You can't do with it what you want. Part of the EULA states that you have the possibility to license the software from Apple, but only under their terms and conditions for an extended period of time. So you don't own Mac OS X. Sorry, you don't. Even though you think you might, even though you have the CD, not yours. You don't own it. You're licensing that software. And part of Apple's EULA, the end user license agreement, is that you will not tamper with the software, change the code, or install it on machines not authorized by Apple, aka ding, 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 Hackintosh. That said, Apple has never persecuted any one individual for Hackintoshing. In fact, they've only persecuted a couple of companies, one of which was SciStar from several years ago, that were actually trying to manufacture and sell computers with OS X installed on them from the factory. So Apple went after them. There was a big, long legal battle. Apple won. Those guys went out of business. But other than that, I would not be worried. If Apple really cared about Hackintoshing, they would go after the developers that are making these tools available to even Hackintosh. And Apple hasn't expressed any intentions to do so because honestly, they find a lot of bugs because of Hackintoshing that they can patch up, so it's great for security. And then 2, it's simply not worth their time or their efforts to go out and persecute any one individual. It's not worth it. I'm not saying you should go out and make a Hackintosh. I'm not saying that it's all free and dandy and go and do it. You are still responsible for your actions, young man or young lady. But at the same time, if I were you, I would not be super scared of anything happening. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, I would appreciate a like. If you did not like it, there's that other button. If you want to watch more videos like this in the future, please subscribe for future videos from Snazzy Labs. And have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay snazzy. See you later, folks.